So let's take a closer look at some of the issues that came up in the leadership debate between Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. Taxes, the Integrity Commission and flip-flopping all came up. Insults were flying. Who'll not call who liar? The other one I call the other one hypocrite. I'm Deon Jackson Miller. Thanks so much for joining me. Time for tea. Now, since I was a participant in this one, I was one of the questioners. I'm taking a slightly different approach to this breakdown, as you probably saw in part 1. I'm not going to break down every single question and tell you who I thought won or lost on each question, and I am going to take a broader look at issues. So as I said, of the 4 leadership debates I've participated in, I did think this one was the most hostile. Having said that, there were a lot of things I liked about it. I liked the energy. I liked the dynamism. I liked how they used the rebuttals throughout the debate. They kept coming back to points that had been made earlier to make corrections or to add additional responses and hammer home their talking points. And generally speaking, I thought they really did make absolutely good use of the time. So I asked the first question that went to the PM. That was about actions taken by members of his administration, which suggested a pattern of attacking oversight institutions in the public sector, in the media, in civil society. So he answered very strongly, saying that wasn't true. He said, in fact, his administration has strengthened institutions and made them more efficient. He said putting the office of the political ombudsman under the electoral office was to strengthen it. And he says he himself had been very complimentary and acted in a very dignified way towards the Integrity Commission. All right, well, the PM has taken the Integrity Commission to court and is asking for the entire Integrity Commission Act to be struck down. That's all I'm going to say about that. In relation to the office of the political ombudsman being moved to the Electoral Commission, a whole heap of people said that was a bad idea. It wasn't going to work. The government did it anyway. We've now gone through basically 2 election campaigns with this newly configured political ombudsman. It's obvious it's not working, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, I got a whole heap of cussing from Labour Rights for this question, and having gone through some of the responses, I'm assuming they thought it was a good question, so thank you. Now, Mr. Golding was asked how the PNP's tax plan would work without hurting the economy. There was a later follow-up question on the tax plan as well, referencing concerns that the PNP seems to be relying on growth projections, which may or may not hold, and also that the numbers don't add up. And the PM said as well that Jamaica's economy would have to grow 8 to 10% to fund the PNP's tax plan. Now, Mr. Golding said in summary that with debt levels having fallen and been falling, more money is going to be freed up, and he says the amount of money that's going to be freed up is more than sufficient to fund the PNP's programs and cover the increase in the income tax threshold. I would say this explanation from Golding wasn't what we've heard from the PNP before. It sounds clearer than the explanations we heard before. It does raise the questions as to why there wasn't a full, coherent rationale given when the plan was first announced and how well thought out it's been. Also, PNP supporters have been cussing media, so why we're spending so much time asking about the PNP's tax plan and not giving the same amount of energy to the JLP's tax plan. And it's a reasonable question. I would say, though, that opposition proposals sometimes are more suspect, because in the past we've seen them promise things and then they get into office and then say, oops, never know it was so bad, can't do that after all. And they tell us they didn't have a full picture of what's been happening in government, so I would say that's probably why. Now, a major theme throughout was integrity. Mr. Golding kept hammering away at the point that the Prime Minister's statutory declarations have not been certified, and Dr. Holness responded strongly on each occasion, saying, for instance, there are no charges against him, that all our business is in the public domain. The PM now counterattacked Mr. Golding in relation to his former firm, DB&G, Daring, Bunting and Golding, and their dealings, to which Mr. Golding responded saying, look, it was a public company, our financial statements were audited, and on top of that, a big international entity, the Scotiabank, then looked through their dealings, did their due diligence on the firm and bought it. So they have nothing to hide, he says. Both sides are going hard on this one. It will be interesting to see who the voters believe and who the voters are taking on with this. Now, another theme from the Prime Minister was that the opposition wouldn't agree to vote with the government on the constitutional reform process, and the PM said that would have addressed a lot of the questions and issues being raised. Mr. Golding's response to that was that there needs to be bipartisan agreement on important issues. He said they don't have that bipartisan agreement. Also, the opposition has problems with the constitutional reform bill that's been tabled in Parliament. So Mr. Golding did respond on this issue, right? He did explain his party's position. I did think he could have done more, though, given the fact that Dr. Holness was hammering away at this in almost every question. He found a way to bring it back to the fact that the opposition wasn't cooperating on constitutional reform. So I thought Mr. Golding could have done more in terms of explaining why. Then now, Dr. Holness walked into a trap that Mark Golding clearly had set for him when the PM asked if Golding was truly a Jamaican. So that opened the door now for Mark Golding to deliver the big moment of the debate, pulling out his birth certificate, one of the old long time one that we used to get to prove he was born in Jamaica, and he then managed to throw in a jab saying he wished the PM could show his certified statutory declaration. This was a moment of high political theatre. It captured everybody's attention and everybody was talking about this. Now, the PM saying it's not your birth that makes you Jamaican, it's the choices you make for your country I thought that answer was not just weak. It opened the door to just so much criticism. I actually thought that was an answer that hurt the PM rather than helped him. So having said that, I didn't like Mr. Golding's response to the question about the opposition flip-flopping on the issue of parliamentary salary increases. I thought that issue, that's a weak one for the opposition generally, right? With the opposition spokesperson Julian Robinson having gotten up in Parliament saying the opposition was not objecting to the increases, and then bam, next day, saying the opposition was objecting. So Mr. Golding's answer now was that the opposition spokesperson was agreeing to the principle of getting an increase, not the specifics, but when they saw how massive the increase was, they thought it was unconscionable, so they had to object. So basically, the opposition spokesperson got up and went on the record in Parliament agreeing with an increase, not knowing what the increase was. I don't know, that raises all kinds of questions. Plus, as far as we know, all the opposition MPs are happily pocketing the increased salaries. Just to make the point, the opposition leader, Mr. Golding, did say he would take the salary but give the extra money to charity. But seeing that his MPs are taking the increase, what's the point? And why is he continually harping on the salaries of cabinet ministers? Is a PNP cabinet going to say they not take the increase? Really? You want bet? Now, I asked the PM about the JLP betraying the idea of bipartisanship, which they had said they would legislate in areas like the appointment of the DPP. That was against the background of the fact that the recent extension for the office holder was opposed by the PNP, but the government went ahead with it anyway. Now, Dr. Holness tried to hang his answer here again on the constitutional reform issue, saying that it was the opposition that thwarted that, but it would have been dealt with under that. So I pointed out that if the JLP wants to adhere to bipartisanship, it doesn't need any law or constitutional amendment, it just has to do it. Dr. Holness just basically completely ignored the question, saying a court case decided that matter, and that actually was my exact point. If there was a bipartisan approach here, we wouldn't have needed a court case at all. Now, an important question asked was why both political parties have been attacking members of the media. Holness said his party doesn't undermine press freedom. He says it's a PNP that's been attacking a particular radio station. He says he supports strong journalism. Now, Mr. Golding said the PNP supports press freedom, but says it's legitimate to criticize journalists who are not independent or acting professional, but they would never do anything to endanger journalists. All right. I didn't think either one gave a good answer. Dr. Holness well know that his people are going at the media tooth and nail all the time, and a holier than thou above the fray response doesn't cut it here. Mr. Golding's response also wasn't great because what he's doing is trying to justify what's been going on. I thought this was a low point for both of them. So who won? Well, since I participated, I'm actually not going to try and call this one. I will say I think the supporters of the JLP were very happy with Dr. Holness's performance. I think the supporters of the PNP were very happy with Mr. Golding's performance. The question is, what about the people in the middle? What do they think? Tell me. Drop your comments below. All right, as always, keep it civil. Like the video, share it with somebody who might be interested, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for being here, and now, gone back to my tea.